Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to talk about this little fella right here, the Dead Air SANDMAN-K, their short little version in their Sandman series. Let's talk about it. Alright, so jumping right into this. I have had this game for probably about a year and a half, something like that, which isn't a terribly long amount of time. And you can probably not tell by looking at it. I legitimately have I'm in the ballpark of 6,000 to 8,000 rounds through this. I'm kind of jealous of some people that have cans like this that have less rounds than that, and their cans look like they've been used. This, whatever batch of Cerakote they used on this guy, it held up exceptionally well. I have to say that, just exceptionally well. I don't know what they did, but it's amazing. Speaking of what this thing is coated with, let's just get into specs. I'm not a big specs guy. A lot of the things don't really matter to me so much, but some people really get into it. So I'm going to throw the specs up on the screen and I'm going to read them off to you, and then we'll just kind of move on from there, all right? So, the specifications, here we go. It's rated for caliber up to 300 rum, right? So basically 30 caliber and below, go for it. It's not a 22 can, it's non-user serviceable, don't shoot 22 through it. But other than that, 30 cal and below. 4,200 foot-pounds is its energy rating. It has a bore diameter, we just said that, 30 caliber. It is 5.4 inches long, right? So that's why it's a K can, it's shorter. And it is 1.5 inches in diameter, same as all the other Sandman series. Good thing to know if you're going to be putting this under a handguard, right? Knowing that the diameter of it. Its weight is 12.8 ounces, and it's made from stellite baffles, stainless steel, welded core, and stainless steel tube. So that's one reason this guy's a little bit heavy. I mean, he is heavy. He's a chunky can, but it is a tank of a can. I can personally attest to that. It has black and FDE Cerakote, so depending on which one you get, and it is, or which one you order. You don't just randomly get one. And then it has nitrated attachments, right? So your locking collar and stuff, nitrated attachments. It is professional grade, heavy duty use kind of stuff going on. It is right at about the $900 for MSRP. You could definitely get them cheaper than that. No barrel restrictions and full auto rated. All right, so that's basically the specs of it. Let's talk about what comes in the box. Some people really want to know that. Let's just get that out of the way. This is the box that it came in. There's the instructions. Here's the box it came in whenever I got it. I think they did a facelift on their boxes. I can't 100% say that, but about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago whenever I ordered this thing, this is what it came in. So there you go, is what it is. In essence, it's just a cardboard box. People get really hung up on this stuff, so sorry if you don't like it. Like, I don't really care. There you go. Comes in a cardboard box. In the box, you do get a brake, right? Because this has their chemo attachment system. Quick little side trail on this. The way this guy attaches is it almost looks like a 3-lug. It is not a 3-lug. It comes, like I just said, it comes with a brake. And here, we'll just use this brake. I have pretty much taken all the brakes that I have gotten from Dead Air. They come with a 3-chamber brake, 1, 2, and there's no third because I chop off my brakes. I chop it down. I chop the last brake off. It doesn't affect anything. It just makes it a little bit shorter so I can use it on some other key micro mounts. But this is basically what the brake will look like, all right? And in essence, it has these little notches built into the chemo attachment, whichever attachment you might have, and it looks like you might be able to just slip this on to any one of those, but it's not going to go onto any one. It's going to go only into one slot. It's going to be very obvious. You can't accidentally attach this guy wrong. He goes all the way down. You give it a nice crank rotation until it stops. Do not go super heavy, just Hulk smash on it. Nice and easy, and it's on. I have never, in all my firing and use of any of these systems, the chemo systems, I've never had a problem with it accidentally coming off or really even loosening up. It's always just stayed on, right? If it does get really tight on there and you Bubba Gumped it and you crank this thing down, if you need to break it off, you can get a strap wrench or a adjustable wrench or something to grab the collar back here, and if you turn it, right, and you kind of hear it click, that kind of loosens it up, then you'll be able to unscrew it, right? That kind of loosens everything up if, for whatever reason, you can't get it off. You don't have to shoot this can off. If you can turn it just like a 1/8 of an inch quarter, I mean, you barely just turn that thing, it loosens it up, and then you can take it off. It sounds like, oh, you could accidentally loosen it up. Nope, I have never, ever had this guy accidentally come loose, all right? So, little word for you there. Okay, so the other stuff that comes in the box, you have your little box, whatever. Other stuff that comes in here, let's close this, is the instruction manual, which is good to know. That information that I just told you about how to put the can on, take the can off kind of stuff, that's going to be in the instruction manual. It's good to read this stuff. I'm a bad person. I generally don't read it. I'll look up videos and stuff, but it is good to have this. It's good to read it. You probably should do that. You get your little decal, which I don't think I've ever used one of these decals yet, but you get a decal. You get your little cigar wrap thing. Again, these come with, I think, pretty much, very close, I think pretty much all their suppressors. It's just a cool little thing. They don't generally come wrapped on it. I think I got one can that was wrapped on, but this is unused. You could put it on something. I don't know what you would put it on. It's not a sticker. It's got a sticky part back here where you could take that off and actually put it on something, but I don't know. It's just a cool thing. It's just cool. This did not come with a Nomex sock, right? The Sandman S that I have, it did come with the heat resistant, the Nomex sock thing, basically. It did come with that. This guy didn't. This guy just came in a standard little plastic bag thingy. I really don't care. Makes no difference to me. I forget that that the Sandman S came with that sock because I don't use it. This is either sitting on a gun or it's in my suppressor bag or in the safe or whatever. I don't keep it in that little sock. That's cool. And people that really like the Gucci stuff, whatever, that's cool. But for me, it's a tool. I don't keep it in that bag. But it is what it is. All right. Some things you can do to this can, right? Some things you can't do to it is you can't take it apart. You can't like take the baffles out and clean it. Now, that might scare some people, and there's really no reason to be scared about that, to be quite honest. This is a heavy use rifle can, right? Not a pistol can. It's not overboard for 30 cal, so you cannot shoot 9mm through it. Do not do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's 9mm, or it's 30. It's a 30 caliber can, all right? That being said, if you shoot maybe like some 300 blackout or something, that's the only caliber that comes to my mind right now that really you could potentially run into that problem, where it's like an all-lead cast bullet, right? Some subsonic stuff, whatever. You could potentially build up some lead, but if after every time that you shoot that kind of ammo through here, you take a half a magazine or a full magazine, depending on how much you got, whatever, of full metal jacket, full power stuff, right? Whether it be like from an AK, right? 7.6 Super 39, 308, 5.56, whatever, and you burn that through here, just do a mag dump, you're gonna blow out sandblast. You're gonna bust up any particulate stuff that's built up in there, right? This is not a 22 can. Do not shoot 22 through here. 22 will lead things up real quick, and potentially, I mean, I wouldn't do it. I mean, you could do a mag maybe, and just to see what it is for kicks and giggles. They make a 22 can. Use their 22 can. If you did do something like that, I would highly, highly recommend burning it down with a magazine or two to make sure you blast everything out. But that's not recommended. Don't do that. I shouldn't have even brought that up because now somebody's going to do it. But that's how you clean your can. You don't need to worry about soaking it in this or that. For me personally, I've never done that. If I really want to keep it kind of clean, I'll spray some lube in here, which is good to lube this locking collar up a little bit. That's very good. Put some lube on that. I'll spray lube in here sometimes. Sometimes the extra oil in there, it helps kind of like shooting the can wet, right? For whatever feng shui it does, it makes it just a smidgen of a hair quieter. It makes it a lot more gassy because that oil's burning up, whatever. But if you do that, it could potentially, in my mind, help loosen things up. And then when you go to shoot the gun, it blows everything out a little bit better. Probably does nothing. I wouldn't worry about it. But that being said, you can't take the can apart and clean it, but you can change out end caps, right? So why would you want to change out an end cap? An end cap, or a front cap technically, that's the front of the suppressor right here, all right? Now this is a 30 caliber can. It's gonna come with an end cap or a front cap. I keep saying that. A front cap that looks like that. It's 30 caliber. It's not a flash hider, nothing special, pretty much just flat across the top. You can buy these other accessories, right? This is a front cap removal tool, so you can remove this guy if you wanted to, and you could put on, in this case, a flash hider 5.56 front cap. So if you're gonna shoot this on a 5.56 gun, pause right there. Do not forget that you left a 5.56 cap, front cap on here, and put it on your 308 gun or 30 cal gun. You'll break it. All right. But if you're gonna shoot this on a 5.56 gun, this actually does work. This actually does help reduce the noise, just that ejection, that not ejection port, but the bore, the exposed bore right there. That aperture is smaller, right, on the 5.56, so it does help contain those gases a little bit better. The flash hider aspect of this guy, it actually does work. It does help, right? And it does overall do what it's supposed to do. It decreases the sound a little bit, right? It decreases the flash a little bit. It does help. It does help. Now, there's some drawbacks. When you hold pressure in a can, that pressure's lazy. It's going to go somewhere, so it's going to run your gun a little harder maybe. It's going to spit a little bit more gas back in your face. But it all depends on what you're trying to do. You're trying to show off to your friends that are sitting out here, well, then put a 5.56 end cap on it because it's going to sound better for them. Are you going to make it try to sound better for you? Well, put a 30 caliber end cap on it so it pushes that noise out forward. It's a little bit less gassy for you. All right, that's just something to consider. Another thing you can do, and this is with all the Nomad and Sandman series, these front caps fit the Nomad and Sandman series, those are the same. You can get what's called an EBrake, right? And I'm not gonna super try to explain this, but in essence, my understanding of it is it works as a brake on the end of your suppressor, right? It's not an extra baffle, it literally has, it has holes all in it, so that's not a baffle, right? In essence, what it does for me, what I have personally noticed, this right here is a fantastic setup, right? Because what it does is it diffuses that pressure and everything coming out of the suppressor. Remember I talked about gases are lazy. If you hold it in the can longer, that gas is trying to go somewhere and it's gonna come back down your gun, spit in your face, run your action harder, right? When you add something like an EBrake here, it allows the pressures coming out to just diffuse, basically. I like that word. It helps them to diffuse quicker, but over a larger area. Does that make sense? Instead of coming out one big hole at the end, it comes out all these other holes, and it actually does help as a brake a little bit, but it really does help diffuse that sound, right? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So for me personally, I don't even need, I mean, the flash hider end cap on the end of there, that doesn't do anything because you already have holes all around here, right? And I haven't noticed that it creates a massive fireball. There can be fireballs depending on what ammo and stuff you're using and whatever. But it seems significantly to help, especially for the K can, to help bring it really close to that hearing safe level, close. Now, it all depends on your gun. If you're shooting this on a 7.5 inch, if you're shooting this on this guy, right, little 7.5 inch blaster, this, I don't care what you do to this, this is going to be a firecracker. This is going to be loud and obnoxious no matter pretty much whatever you do, all right? But if you put a suppressor on it, this suppressor like this, it's gonna help bring that down, but it's still gonna be loud. Now, if I was to take this guy and put it on a MCX, this is actually pleasant, right? Because this is a piston system. You don't have the gases coming back in here like a traditional AR-15. This actually sounds decent. Even without the EBrake on the end, it sounds decent. Since we have it right here, if we go ahead and just unscrew the EBrake and kind of let you see kind of what that looks like. We'll go ahead and throw this guy on. Kind of let you see how that looks. That does not add a whole lot of length. It's a little heavy, but it doesn't add a whole lot of length to the end of this gun. I mean, if you look at that, you're only adding, like, what's that, 2.5 inches or whatever to the whole firearm, and it brings that noise way down. It helps it. Again, depending on the firearm, piston, direct impingement, you know, long, short, whatever, it can really help tone the gun down a little bit. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. For me personally, I like this particular setup. I really like to shoot this guy on my 11.5 inch gun with an EBrake and the 5.56 end cap. Again, 5.56 end cap at the end doesn't make a whole lot of difference. It's really mute, but it is what it is. For me, an 11.5 inch gun, that guy's sitting there right like that, it's still going to be a little barky, but it's going to drastically take the edge off, and it's going to make this gun a lot more manageable to shoot, especially if this is like a gun that you could potentially be shooting like in your house, indoors, whatever, or if you're even in an indoor range and whatnot. This kind of setup really, really makes a difference. Or if you're really wanting just a system that you can make really, really short, really, really small, all right? And then maybe go hunting, whatever. Like, especially for 30 cal stuff, right? You hunt with an AK, you hunt with a 30-06, you hunt with something, right? That's 30 cal. You could put this on there and it's gonna help tone it down a little bit. It's still gonna be loud. This is one thing that a lot of people will get wrong about these suppressors, specifically K-cans. These are not made to be the quietest thing out there. They're not even made for that. So if you get into this thinking you're gonna get a little bitty small can from a reputable manufacturer, and because it's from a reputable manufacturer, it's just gonna be super quiet, right? You can have a big quiet can or a little quiet can. Doesn't work that way. It's physics, I think is what it is. It's just not going to work that way. All right, so go into this, if you're interested in one of these cans, a K can, know that it will not be the quietest can. But if you're looking for something to take the edge off, right, significantly depending on a bunch of variables and stuff, and not add a whole lot of length to the end of your gun, this is actually a decent setup. This is actually good for that. Now, speaking of the durability and things of this particular suppressor that I have burned this thing down with pretty much full auto use for, no joke, I mean, I am not really exaggerating when I'm saying around 5,000 rounds. I'm not exaggerating. I have blown 3 gas tubes, like fuses, just popped them off, shot out 1 barrel, and got this guy so cherry red hot he was spitting sparks and fireballs. And he cools off and he keeps on cooking, keeps on ticking, right? Some things that you can potentially break on here, and some just personal experience for me, is this locking attachment, right? You need to make sure you keep some grease on there, right? And if you're gonna abuse your cans like I did, which most people aren't gonna be shooting like that. I mean, I'm saying like maybe 3% of the population might do that, but most people that own these things, they're not doing that. They might do a mag dump or maybe 2, but not 500 rounds at a time. They're not gonna do that, most people, all right? But if you are doing that, you need to be careful with that locking collar, because you can wear it out, right? And I don't know if it was just the heat treated. I mean, I got the thing cherry red hot. The whole thing was like, it looked like it was about ready to melt. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the temperature on it exactly, but it was stinking hot. And it obviously messed with something to where whenever I would go to ratchet this on or ratchet it off, there was no ratchet. It would just friction tight. But even with the ratchet system being wore out, I never had it come off. I never had it loosen up. I never had that problem at all. Even whenever the ratchet was completely gone and you would just turn this guy on and he would just kind of snug up nice and tight, never, ever, ever had it come off. So kudos to the system. I think it works. The mounting system, I think, really, really works. It's going to be very difficult to actually lock this guy onto a gun, like carbon lock, and you can't get it off, because you can put a wrench, like I said earlier, or something on this locking collar, turn it just a little bit, it will break it loose, and then you'll be able to get it off. It's not that hard. It's a lot better than some other bigger name people out there that you got to shoot the cans off or whatever. All right, so let's take a look at this guy at the range, and then we'll do some wrap-up thoughts. All right, so in essence, that's what we got. I really like this can for its specific niche, right? There can be some cans out there that they do a whole lot of stuff, right? But they're not short. They sound better, but they're not short. And then you have a can that is short and super lightweight, but it has barrel restrictions, right? You can't put it on a shorty little gun, right? This can takes a beating and keeps on ticking, or whatever, however that saying goes, or whatever. I have failed at breaking the can, right? The locking collar, yes, I wore it out, but even with it wore out, I continued to shoot it, continued to take it on and off the gun, never had a problem. It's a beast of a can. Like, the definition of beast of a can should be the Sandman series of stuff. I have not had a problem with them dying on me. I have not. There may be other people out there, but I have not. So for a K-can specific niche of taking the edge off and not adding a whole lot of length to your gun, the Sandman-K is a fantastic can, in my opinion, in my personal opinion. I bought this with my money. This wasn't sent to me. This isn't one of those things, whatever. I didn't get this from any company to review. I bought this. This is my personal can, and I love it. It does, for that niche, it does better than any really other can that I have, especially if you add the little accessories like an EBrake or the flash hider end cap. Those do make noticeable differences to the performance of the can. It really does. So it's a good can for that. If this is your first can and you get this and you're like, well, that didn't make it that much quieter, you're probably going to be like disillusioned from the whole thing. But if you have an understanding that it's going to take the edge off, it's not going to make this a whisper quiet can. It's not what it's for, right? You don't buy a Honda Civic to pull a trailer. It's not made for that, right? It's made for economy and all that stuff. Hope that makes sense. All right, if any of you guys have a Sandman-K and want to chime in with your thoughts, maybe you've had good experiences, maybe you've had bad experiences, maybe you bought it as your first can thinking, this is super cool, I want a K-can because it's going to be short, and then you shoot it and you're like, holy cow, that was loud. I want to hear about that kind of stuff. And other people, I'm sure, would love to hear your feedback on what you think of your can, right? And if you're looking and you're on the fence and you want more information, ask away, right? I'll answer as much questions as I can, and I'm sure other people, if they have these cans, they can chime in and give their experience as well. If you have want to look anything else up, go to their website, Dead Air's website. That's just if you want factoid information, go over there and do that. All right, that's pretty much it. Y'all be good, be safe. Appreciate you watching, subscribing, and everything, and hopefully catch you in the next video. See ya.